So hi, welcome to the next episode of the AcademiX. Today we'll be talking about beyond the paper because as academics we often focus on papers, grants and whatsoever. Now we are going to focus on something important beyond the paper. So we are looking at a patient-centric paradigm which the science is actually shifting and also the practice. So today we have Dr. Armin Frille, who is an internal medicine specialist from the University Clinic Leipzig. So hi Armin, it's a pleasure to have you here. What I would like to know from you is could you start with what you do and why you took medicine,
Hmm.
please?
I'm Armin Frille, right? Thank you for having me. Actually, I'm internal medicine specialist. I'm focused on respiratory diseases, and every day I'm taking care of patients having chronic lung diseases, but also acute lung diseases, and a special focus is lung cancer.
Mhm.
And why did I choose medicine?
Medicine, yeah.
To be honest, I wanted to do something which involves biology and maybe social sciences a bit, so interacting with people. And when I did my social service in a hospital, I was in charge of transferring patients from A to B, and I enjoyed talking to them on a quite easy way and to get to know very talkatively how they are doing. And I kind of was interested in what is need to know or we need to do that improves patients, and that's why I decided to study medicine in order to help to treat patients. And what I learned from my social services days at that time is to talk to patients very in their own language, so they understand what we're talking about.
So if I hear your thoughts now, it seems that you're a very curious person at that point. Were you always curious right from the childhood?
I have to ask my parents whether it's true, but I mean,
How are you in high school? Were you really curious?
yeah, I mean, we were not involved in some research at that time, of course, but curious about nature, curious about biological mechanism, chemistry. I loved chemistry. I loved biology, and so I was always quite interested in in some experimental stuff. So that's why I could say yes. So curious always.
Okay, so you said that you really wanted to help the patients, and that's why you took medicine. You could have chosen a lot of branches, but
Yeah.
why did you choose internal medicine?
Internal medicine is something, I guess, which involves not only one part of the body. It involves not only one organ or one compartment. It may involve as well a whole system, because the organs are communicating with each others, and one disease maybe not all or only reside or is due to a failure in one organ, but maybe other organs are involved in as well. So I wanted to know how it's connected, how it's what's the reason behind it. And sometimes you need to look beyond the border to understand what's happening. That's why it's internal medicine. And pulmonology or respiratory medicine, because I always was from high school, I had a talk about respiration, and I really was, I don't know why, and I was so interested and curious about lung anatomy and lung function, and how it's all related to health and disease. And that's why I chose respiratory medicine as my specialty. And so there was actually no huge alternative. I mean, oncology is quite interesting, cardiology as well, but somehow my feelings, my heart were beating for respiratory medicine. Yeah.
But what is the procedure? So you studied in Germany, is it? Like throughout your studies, was it just in Germany or?
No. I started in France studying. So
Really?
yeah, I studied in France for 1 year, and I after that I went to Austria, to Graz, and I did the rest of my studies in Graz, and then I came to Germany, to Leipzig, after 6 years of studies, and started my internal medicine um, um, training, actually.
And how long does it usually take for a
6 years.
6 years?
6 years. And then again 6 years for some sort of specialization, and again some extra time for subspecialization. But actually, now I'm in my 10th year or 11th year of medical.
The study seems to be quite extensive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Given the opportunity, what you can do, and the responsibility you have, what you're doing every day, man.
What is the best part of your job? Like, what do you think is your best part? So what makes you wake up and say, I'm a doctor and I'm happy about it?
Talking to patients, I guess. Yeah, really. It's like getting to know what's the deal, what's the problem, and coming back and say we got a solution, or we thought about it, and you may have this, we can do that. Sometimes you come back and say we don't know what to do, or at least we can do that, but we don't know whether it would work. So this may happen as well. But to give a patient the option to do something about it is something why we wake up, perhaps.
So you find the experience rewarding because you're able to help someone. So by the looks of it, it really feels that you're an empathetic person. If everything works out well, you're happy. But what happens when you assume that the patient is not doing well and you need to break a really bad news? How would you deal with it?
We cannot change reality. Sometimes we do have serious and critical cases. We sometimes we are facing problems which are life-threatening. We know people will die, even though we are doing our best. So we have to accept that sometimes diseases are too critical and too serious as we can turn this around. But what I think is also, I'm also happy when I talk to somebody and made him clear in a special or in a particular way, in his or her way, that the person understands what it's all about, and then to look for a way. We cannot change reality always. So sometimes we need to accept how it is, but we need to talk about it and to make the best out of it. Yeah, and talking about it, it's a huge part of it. Yeah, and it's sometimes just listening, and if somebody doesn't know what to do now, just say, I will look it up. I get my information. I come back. Yeah. So this is. I would be happy if we have an informative and balanced talk with patients, even though maybe we could not make everything right.
But does it affect you because you're human after all? Because I've noticed that at least when I started my analysis with like any oncology cases, when I see someone with a lot of tumors, I feel bad. I personally feel bad. But you see this all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Does it affect you? Or how do you protect yourself?
Yeah, of course. You have learned, or you needed to have learned, to be distanced a bit from those destinies or those cases. Actually, in the end, behind every case, at the patient and the family and everybody who is involved in the suffering as well, from the disease of the individual. But we need to understand our role as somebody who is somebody who leads the pathway of the disease, who tries to be at their side. Yeah? But we need also to understand that that we are not emotionally involved in it. Yeah? Because we need to really to help them. This is all we need. We are there for. So the distancing from oneself or from those cases or from those events is very, very, very important. That how we do it, I think you need to practice, and it's always getting critical if some relative is involved, is ill. You are not the same person, because emotion is come into play, and you might lose your objective thinking, and because it's family, right? So, but that's the reason why sometimes relatives are treated by colleagues and not by yourself, and so you need to have the objective point of view to be at your best, and so it's kind of training you need to have. Yeah,
it seems that it's actually a very delicate balance between being empathetic and also having an objective view on the situation and trying to do the best you can. But do you think that the balance is often maintained in the current with the young doctors coming in right now? Because for me, it's an absolute new situation, because I usually, for the past 20 years, I was treated in India. And in India, most of the old doctors are empathetic. They really listen to you. But now, even now, if I go back to India, the new doctors, they somehow have a cold curtain and not really trying to even answer back to the questions. And I saw this even in European, but it's kind of, the standard deviation is quite high. Some of them are really empathetic. Some of them, they just nod their head, they don't respond. How important is it, do you think, that this balance should be maintained so that the patient feels comfortable in coming to you and explaining their problems?
Yeah. I mean, there's certain different developments conquering at the same time. Even for one, you want to help the patient. On the other hand, you have a lot of patients and you have to treat them all at once, maybe. Yeah, and so the time for each patient is reduced due to the large amount of work you have to do every day, and so it may be the extra mile need to run to fulfill your own expectations you have in the treatment. It may be that due to the workload that you reduce the time you have for each patient due to the workload, that maybe one person says, I do not feel treated quite well because he doesn't listen quite much. He does not ask the right questions, and he did not do what I was asking for, and I don't know. So it may be that the healthcare system has kind of changed during the last 2 decades, so that the workload is getting higher and the individual time you might have is
Becoming low?
maybe lower. Yeah. In the end, maybe it's a question of organization. How do you organize yourself, your work, and of course, if you're a starter, it takes more time to do the same work as when you have more than a decade of experience, and you are more experienced and more efficient in what you're doing. So it's not comparable, but we still try to educate our younger fellows how to handle certain situations. I mean, and how to speak and to talk to patients, and to try to tell them what to talk about as well, what points need to be in that talk. They need to have, and that is quite important to maybe to do a second round and see them again, and to explain what had happened again, even though maybe it's your working time might be over officially, but you try to do it anyway because you think it's the right way to do it.
So this is more like a mentor-mentee relationship, and this knowledge is being transferred this way. Is there any approach in the universities when you do your medicine studies? Do they actually have some courses on how to deal with patients?
Actually, at my university in Graz, we had some courses about taking history, talking about how do we get the information we want to have. Yeah, we are looking for. We talked about the certain models, like the biopsycho social model, where the biology is involved, the social environment is involved, the psychological aspect of the patient is involved, so everything plays together, and if you're always addressing everything in what you're doing. So but I think this can always be improved in medical studies, so that talking skills is you're not perfect when you come from university to hospital. This will be improved every year you work there, and but this needs to be still be a focus in the studies, right?
So let's come to the most interesting part, which is basically you are a doctor, but you're also doing science. What do you think is the role of basic science for you to give a good patient management?
I mean, I'm working at the university hospital.
Yeah.
So we we do sometimes see the same patient as a smaller hospital. Sometimes we see totally different patient with which maybe have other diseases, rare diseases, or more serious diseases, and we try to think about reasons why some diseases or conditions are that serious, and how can we prevent them, or how we can treat them better. And we do have a laboratory in our clinic in a respiratory medicine, so we do have the chance to ask questions, to formulate hypotheses. Maybe the answer is that, and we can test them in our lab on a cell-based way, cell-based basic science assays, cell culture, in animal studies. So we can really try to pursue an idea and try to find an answer for certain mechanisms. Yeah, and this is what our lab has been doing the past 20 years in lung medicine, and I really love being in that position to be able to treating patients at the bed, but also has to have a place at the bench to do some to be able to, or to have the opportunity to do some basic translational research. I mean, if you're doing your clinical work, you do not have time to do any basic research. But either you have a strong collaborator who you can talk to, and he comes up with an idea and he's doing that, or you take your time off from the hospital, and when you're interested and skilled enough, you can do it by yourself. And at least this is what I was doing. I was doing 2 years of postdoctoral research in our lab, doing cell culture experiments, and totally aside from patient treatment and care. And that's why I really enjoy doing both. And sometimes you need to do, or do you need to understand both sides, from the researcher, the biologist, the physicist, the guys with the numbers, who understands maybe or propose models how something can be explained, and the other guys from the bedside who have the questions, who have the problems, who need or seek answers in talking to you guys, who maybe come up with a solution because you have an idea how to fix it. Yeah.
Okay, so you said about collaborators. This is a very interesting point. The thing is, you would since you're in a clinic and you would not have enough time to do the actual research work, which is fair. You will look for collaborators who are actually scientists full time, right? How would you choose a collaborator? Because right now the collaborator has a different reward system than for a doctor. Yeah, because you guys really care if a patient is responding to you, so that they feel better and you're successful in this treating this patient. But for a researcher, at least I can speak for myself, it is not that common that we see the patients when you guys diagnose them. Our reward system is like, we prove something, they get a publication, they get a subsequent grant for pushing our research. Sometimes we feel that we lose the sight of the bigger picture, which you guys often see because you're the one confronting the patients.
Yeah, I mean, what I was talking about, like having a question from the bedside and finding the solution at the bench. This is like a theoretical idea, like would be the greatest thing to happen, right? But this takes a lot of time, and sometimes you do not find any answer, but or the solution. But step by step, you when you get to the lab, you find new results. You publish something as well. So there you have a reward as well, that you could come closer a small step to what you were asking for. I mean, there are some huge steps in medical treatment that improved respiratory medicine management. Yeah, for example, in lung cancer, the development of the immunotherapy. This really changed the treatment of lung cancer because patients lived twice as long as before without this therapy, and this came from translational research. Yeah, from immunologists who could decipher how immune system can take care of a cancer cell, and those translational project, they benefited now our everyday patient, and for example in cystic fibrosis, genetic disease which involves a lot of children and later adults. Now they have a targeted therapy, so modulators of a defect channel and in the lung epithelial cells, and now due to the treatment giving as a tablet, as a drug, little drug, the lung is getting better, good as new, no infections anymore. So there are some fruits hanging very low from those really translational science efforts over the past decades, and now we see patients really getting better. That's only in respiratory medicine, where we say we would have never expected that 10 years ago, and now we see thanks to intensive translational research all over the world, some areas are really taking advantage of those results.
I mean, as a scientist, I really feel happy that this collaboration actually gives fruitful results. So you have said the success cases, right? What do you think they did right? These groups, I mean, obviously it's not one group who came up with all these things, it's like a unified approach. But what do you think a successful translational project should have? Like, what are the basic traits?
I mean, the big or the biggest predictor of success is maybe the right question.
Yeah.
What is you want to find out, and why is it so relevant? It needs to have a relevance. And for example, lung cancer is relevant because it's the deadliest disease of all we have worldwide, and focusing on certain aspects in lung cancer just makes sense because it affects so many people, so many patients, and you need to choose as well the right collaborator. So in terms of what is your aim, what is you want to by what means you want to ask your question. If your question is, for example, something based on imaging, you need to find somebody who is excellent in imaging or who understands the physics of imaging, and you have to collaborate with them. If you want to find something about cancer drug treatment, you need to find somebody who is the best in drug development, maybe, and collaborate with them. Of course, this is very ideally speaking, because it's not always possible to get the best. But this is how we, if you have a question, you think of an idea, go and talk to somebody who may be the best at that topic. Yeah.
So you said two important points. The first one is asking the right question and finding the right team to answer that question. So obviously this would involve their scientific expertise, but when you choose your collaborators, what kind of soft skills do you expect from your collaborators apart from the science? So for example, you can have someone who's incredibly smart, but if they are like really, really hard to work with, would you still go with them?
In the end, you both want to get to a common goal, right? And if you cannot find a common ground, then we cannot work together. And sometimes you have to overcome those differences, whatever they might be, for the better reason, for the better goal, or for the bigger goal you have, is like helping in the end, or finding a better treatment, or finding a better diagnostic. Yeah, but when it comes to collaboration, you need to have to be on the same tune. Yeah, you have to speak the same language maybe on some part, and you need to understand each other. And if this doesn't work, you will not have a successful collaboration. So understanding each other and discussing very friendly and seriously with each other, I think it's it's a very important cornerstone of collaboration. And I mean, if you're talking about collaboration, I mean, honesty, like say what you mean and mean what you say, is very quite important to build a trustworthy relationship with all the collaborators. Otherwise, you will not be able to have another one as well, because you need to be trustworthy at what you say, and to invest in your collaborators as well.
It's actually funny because when you say all this, it almost feels like a relationship. Like when you choose your collaborators, you should.
Yeah, but on the other hand, of course, you can collaborate with a lot of people, yeah, and a lot of depending on your questions you have, but you want to have you want to get something out of it, right? Good results from it. So somehow this needs to be on a solid basis. So talking very clear is very important, I guess.
So I still would like to think about it as a relationship equation. So what would you think are red flags during a collaboration? So you're collaborating with someone, and if you see this particular trait, you're like, red flag. I think it's better if we stop collaborating. What would you think? Apart from honesty, of course.
No, but I mean, maybe you need to talk about the issue very openly. Maybe talk about it. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe just my perception wasn't right. Maybe it was totally different, and talk about it openly. And would be the first step, right? And if nothing would help, maybe stop collaborating would be the ultima ratio. So would be the last option, right?
Okay, good. So let's talk about science again, in the sense, so you're a doctor again who is seeing the patients. Assume that you have a stellar science article that you see in Nature, yeah? And it says, okay, this is going to solve this disease in X amount of time. But it's not really available as of now. You as a doctor, would you like really bleed for it? It's like, man, I have it, but I can't help the patient. Would be nice. I mean, imagine so for example, a good example is Sam Gambhir. Because his son had one of the most aggressive cancers with glioblastoma, and one of his big statements was, I know for a fact that if my son was born after 100 years, he would have been cured. Do you also have this kind of this urgency when you see something promising in Nature or like in very big journals?
I mean, we do see that all the legal procedures which needs to take place before new therapies are approved by the agencies, so that we can go to the pharmacy and prescribe a drug and say, take this every morning with the breakfast, and you will get rid of the cancer within, I don't know, very probably, and this takes time, of course, yeah, and you will certainly lose patients because they are not. You could not make those treatment options available to them. On the one hand, it's very important that those procedures are still there, so that the drug safety or treatment safety is there, because that needs to be proven, right? On the other hand, we have seen in the corona pandemic how fast drugs are approved, very easily, because of the urgency there was at the time. So that remdesivir or dexamethasone or zotrovimab, or the antibodies against SARS-CoV-2 infections, were approved very rapidly due to the need for it. So if we want, we can actually. On the other hand, if we have a drug which is maybe only available in studies, at least if we are in a hospital who is able to get in touch with study coordinators, you could send your patient to a trial. You might try to enroll him into a clinical trial where the patient at least has a chance to be part of the new treatment option. Even though we do not know whether it works, but if nothing else has proven to be an option, this maybe might be. So enrolling in a clinical study would be another option, even though not approved. There you could make your drug available, or which is possible in Leipzig or in Germany, for at least, is the use of the compassionate use program. So that you have a patient, there is no further treatment approved so far, and the last option would be an unapproved drug, but which is still or already available. You could try to get them into such a compassionate use program. So out of compassionate use, or out of compassionate, you can maybe make available those drugs, for example.
This is actually interesting. The clinical trials. Have you had cases where the patient actually read through one of these papers and they Googled, I mean, most of the patient Googled right now, and they say, okay, I found this clinical trial running in this and this. Can you please put me on the
Yeah.
You've heard it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, they patients or their relatives, they when they got to know that there is a serious disease, they look around. Yeah, they look in the internet, and they look. They know there is a registry for studies, and they look: is there in another city a trial where we could enroll our father, our relatives? Who else is it? Is yeah. So this happened as well, of course. But then you need to have the mobility to go there. Okay, but this happens, or the other way around. Patients came to us. They lived somewhere in Hanover, in Germany, or in, I don't know. But we were the ones who offered a trial, and we enrolled them.
Okay.
And so it's a give or take. Yeah. So
But how do you think is the science communication these days? Do you think that the society as a whole is actually trying hard to, or at least trying to sensitize the people about the new scientific advancements for diseases, or you think it can be made better?
I mean, for the medical community,
Yeah, sure.
I mean, everyone is responsible for its or his or her education. So I mean, we do a newsletter about the recent publications. So we attend annual meetings to be up to date. It takes a lot of work to be up to date, because there's so much advances in every field, and it's quite hard to keep up with all the new advances, and some may change clinical practice, and some others maybe not. But I think due to the increasing amount of new knowledge, we need to improve, I guess, the way how to get those new facts, I mean, new study results. Yeah, maybe it's having informative talks every morning, which we have in our clinic, or is it a certain podcast there is, maybe, so we can tune in to be informed. So this is something we need to work on, I guess, and we need to select what to know and what not to know, because there's so many research going on, and you need really to filter, to select what's your interest, and how to advance your knowledge as well. Yeah, I mean, for example, there are guidelines over guidelines, and there are smartphone apps which try to combine all these guidelines in one app. So you just have to open one program, one application, and you have all the guidelines all together. And this is something which I was talking about. Like, you have one device or one application, and with the help of it, you have it all together, and you can look at it. So knowledge is made available through one
A
panel.
unified interface.
It's unified, right. And this may happen on other level as well, in different ways, but this is what I was giving as an example. You have so many advances, so we need to focus really.
This is actually interesting, because you said the workload on the doctors is actually increasing right now, and there is also a need for unifying the knowledge so that the doctor can make an informed patient management, or like some kind of decision, and also for the patients itself. So the new talk in the town, or it has been this for the 10 years, is AI. What is your opinion on AI right now as a clinician?
As a clinician, I mean, I think artificial intelligence is something. So built up by humans to help get help back from a machine, which may support clinical decision. I think in the end, the decision whether or not a treatment or a diagnosis is made should rely on a human being, somebody who can justify the result or the decision. Yeah, and that a machine maybe had helped the person or guided in decision is maybe another point, but the final decision should always be made by
A human.
a human, right?
Because you think the liability should actually lie within the doctor?
And if if the doctor is relying on 100% on the machine,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
then he decided to do so, but it's his or her final decision to do so. I do not think that in 100 years a roboter is coming to the patient and is asking, how did you sleep, and good morning, and I think it's always a support system, so it's additional. I don't think that it will replace medical knowledge, clinical judgment of medical doctors. I think, but I think the part is growing and growing. What it may help us, right?
So, according to you, or if you're going to use an AI, what would be a perfect AI for you? What should it do and what it should not do?
I mean, when we see certain conditions, we think of what could it be, and we were trained to have certain so-called differential diagnosis. So what could it all be, and then we have to include or exclude one or the other, and this is influenced by experience and by knowledge, and sometimes by gut feeling as well. Knowledge, you can train a machine to have knowledge, and sometimes now with AI you can train a machine to have experience as well, to get better. The last part, the gut feeling, sometimes you have a hunch, you say it's that. I don't know, maybe it should be tested with a machine that was not a hunch, but maybe a hunch maybe can mislead you as well. So it's not the gold standard, right? But I guess in clinical practice sometimes I wished I had somebody who could give me all the possibilities without thinking too much. Could it be that? Okay, I have to read again and I have to look it up and make it all easy. Somebody maybe which reduces my thoughts about it and give it me upfront. What could it be? What is the top 5 possibilities? Yeah, even either diagnosis or treatment options, right?
But you seem to be open about it.
Yeah, but on the other hand, that's the reason why I did it, why I chose the job, because I like to think about it and to include and exclude the stuff, and it's maybe sometimes the machine would help me to think of possibilities I haven't thought about because I forgot, because it's so rare, and the top 5 most probable reasons we all know. Yeah, the top 5 everybody knows. Yeah, because it's so common. But looking beyond those 5, maybe, and sometimes you have a patient who does not belong to the top 5, but has a very rare disease, and you have to somebody, maybe sometimes in that case a machine can help you think of that, because you would have missed it because you didn't know it exists. But here the machine would say, hey, the probabilities taken into account all the features you gave me may lead to, in the end, this one. So maybe the machine could help us to be to think of every detail or every aspect or more aspects than we do now.
This is actually interesting because AI was originally not started for medicine, but it soon proliferated to medicine quite quickly, like any other technology. What do you think the scientists who come from other domains and work in medicine should think about? Because usually, for example, if you think about scientists who work with AI, they start with either mathematics or computer science. They probably don't have any clue about medicine. But if they want to work on medicine, what should they think about, or what is the price in the the price in the sky? What should they really think about, like before coming into medicine, or if they want to work in medicine but that they're coming from a different domain?
I mean, in the end, as I said, the artificial intelligence should support clinical decision making. Yes. And in the end, what should they bring with is like the interest maybe in solving certain medical problems. I mean, talking of lung diseases, I would think of lung cancer, and for prevention, there's lung cancer screening. So a chest CT, a computer tomography, was able to, in a risk population, to reduce mortality, for the risk to get a disease and die from it, by looking into the early stages of it. So, and by a screening program, we could really reduce lung cancer mortality. But maybe we need, or a machine could help us identifying suspicious nodules on the lung. So maybe there, because our eye is maybe miss some spots which are suspicious. So maybe there's a part where AI may help us.
So basically, you want to say that there should be a clinical application which they are willing to invest in, right? Cool. So this is great. I had a lot of fun talking to you, and I learned a lot again, as usual. So I would like to thank Armin again, and thank you guys for tuning in. And we are quite happy we did that. So thank you. Cheers.